going on, YouTube? Evil Foo here. Just have a couple minutes on my work break right now, but I wanted to quickly weigh in. It's terrible. I want to quickly weigh in on the James Gunn taking over, well, co-taking over. I'm not sure who the other guy is, but taking over the DCU, or the DCEU used to be, now it's the DCU, whatever, the DC Comics, movie universe. So James Gunn, I think this is an amazing move. James Gunn is an amazing director and writer, and he's completely somebody out of the box, like outside the system. I mean, he used to be an indie guy, but he doesn't conform into the little cookie cutter, safe, politically correct thing that you'd expect to, have someone put in charge of a major studio. So this is fantastic. Like, I've been a huge fan of his work for years. He wrote the two Scooby-Doo movies, the two live-action Scooby-Doo movies. I have never seen either one because the CGI at the time looked really terrible, and I wasn't really interested in a live-action version of Scooby-Doo, which I love, the old Hanna-Barbera Scooby-Doo. But the first work I ever saw of his, and I became an instant fan, was I was in the military at the time. I think I was living in Korea at the time. But HD, DVD, and Blu-ray were engaged in a big battle to see which format was going to take over for DVDs. And the digital is a board. I don't really remember what it's called anymore. I could do research, but like I said, I'm in a hurry. It was a board that votes. Basically, there's like different studio people and technology people doing this like technology board, and they vote to see which format's going to take over. They voted for HD DVD, but Sony and a couple of other small studios backed Blu-ray. Sony was stubborn. They didn't go with what the board approved. They did their own thing, and they were smart. They're going to put it into the PlayStation 3, just like they had massive success in the DVD market for the PlayStation 2, due large part to the DVD drive. The DVD was a new thing when PlayStation 2 came out, and the PlayStation 2 flew off the shelves. Like, if Dreamcast had a DVD drive, we probably still have a Sega system to this day. I mean, Sega made tons of mistakes, but just on a technology level, that was a huge difference. Too Long Didn't Read version is, I found James Gunn. I was introduced to James Gunn's work while I was in the military, just looking for HD DVDs. HD DVDs, when they first came out, there's a very limited selection. Same with Blu-rays, very limited. Eventually, more and more studios started siding with Sony, and Blu-ray just overtook the market, and HD DVD, I can't speak apparently, became a thing like Betamax, which was Sony backed, by the way, back in the day. It just disappeared. Nobody supported it anymore. Well, one of the new HD DVDs at the time was a movie called Slither. I never heard of it or anything like that. It was a horror movie. At the time, I wasn't super into horror movies. They're kind of cheesy to me. Now I love them, like, not ironically, but I like them a lot. I don't really find them scary, but I enjoy the cheesiness of them, the gore, things like that. I love that kind of stuff. So I bought the movie Slither, not knowing anything about it, written and directed by James Gunn, with many of his people that would go on to collaborate with his projects over the years, like Nathan Fillion and Greg Henry, Michael Rooker. They've collaborated with him multiple times over the years. But the movie was a dark horror comedy movie. It was called Slither. I have my HD DVD still somewhere in a box. This is my DVD I bought of it after that. But this was a fantastic, campy horror, well written though, well performed, gross, creep out, gory movie. It was very awesome, very cool. So I was an instant fan of James Gunn's work after that. The next thing I saw of him was on the Xbox 360. Xbox had a program called Xbox After Dark, or Comedy After Dark, or I think it was called Horror. Sorry, I'll probably edit all this, me sitting here like an idiot thinking out. Maybe I won't. But Horror Meets Comedy, it was called, and it was different horror directors, like famous horror directors and comedy directors. They did a bunch of little shorts directly for the Xbox 360. It was like for their video service and stuff like that. And the one that James Gunn did was called Sparky and Michaela. Now this was satirical, but very adult still. Superhero was a short. I don't remember. It was like maybe 15-20 minutes long, something like that. You can look at, if you do anything from this video, YouTube or Google Sparky and Michaela and watch that. It's fantastic. But it was a teenage girl. She's like a superhero, so she's a teenage girl teamed up with a talking sentient, I guess all animals are sentient, right? But an articulate raccoon with superpowers. So it was a raccoon and a girl. She's like, I don't know if she had superpowers in there. I think she's like super strong or something, maybe she's bulletproof, I don't remember. But the two of them team up and they're doing like little capers, and there's like a bunch of sexual innuendo and stuff like that. Like the raccoon wants to bone her and stuff like that. It's fantastic. It's hilarious. It's really good. So again, just a massive fan of his after Slither, and now Sparky Michaela had just cemented it into, this guy is fantastic. I'm going to watch everything he ever does from now on. The next thing he did on a bigger budget than what Slither was the sweet, like a throwback to Steven Spielberg's Super 8 with the kids, kind of a wholesome story. No, he didn't. That's not his style. He did the sick superhero comedy, dark comedy movie, Super, with Rainn Wilson from The Office and Elliot Page, or Ellen Page at the time, as his sidekick. Kevin Bacon's in this. Michael Rooker's in this again. Nathan Fillion's in this. Nathan Fillion, I see him on the back right here. He's like this superhero or religious superhero guy on TV. Very funny. This movie was fantastic. Again, dark and twisted, outside the box, just fantastic. Next up, based on his small successes, mainly probably his screenwriting, but Super and Slither, and the next thing he got to do was Guardians of the Galaxy for the MCU. Guardians of the Galaxy, I think they gave it to him because it was a smaller, unknown Marvel property at the time, so they weren't really risking much on James Gunn. Like, he was kind of an unknown still, and on the fringes of Hollywood, more on the outside, roguish, independent writer, director. But they took a risk with him because Guardians of the Galaxy was more of an obscure property for Marvel Comics. So they said, throw this to him, see what he does with it. And he made, in my opinion, and I love all movies, or I love all super movies. Super movies? I love all super, see? 2 super movies. I love all super movies. Anything with super in it, I'm going to buy it and love it. I might lick it a little bit, you don't know. No, I love all, or most superhero movies. DC, Marvel. I have a preference for Marvel, but I like a lot of the DC stuff. But Guardians of the Galaxy, he made, in my opinion, the best superhero movie so far that's been made. I absolutely love Guardians of the Galaxy. The writing's witty, it's funny, the music is fantastic, the action's fantastic, the chemistry between the characters is great. Dave Bautista just cemented his place as no longer a wrestler but an actual actor. He was fantastic. Everybody was really good in it. Made Chris Pratt a huge star. It was fantastic. And then he did Guardians of the Galaxy 2. He got fired from Marvel from some old dumb jokes he made on Twitter. I think they were maybe talking about pedophilia or something like that, but in a completely joking sense. And like I said, with if you see his old work, it's dark, sick stuff. It's a darker edge to it. But anyways, Disney freaked out at the time, fired him, which was a huge mistake. But anyways, that gave him the opportunity. They eventually hired him back. He's doing Guardians of the Galaxy, a holiday special, and Guardians of the Galaxy 3 now before he takes over the DC universe. But he went over to DC and did the Suicide Squad, which had the unenviable position of trying to be a sequel to the absolute shit turd that was Suicide Squad from David Ayer. Terrible film, total fucking garbage. Anyway, somehow he took that. I mean, he took some of the stuff from it, but he made a sequel to it, a fantastic sequel. The best DC movie, again, in my opinion, that's been made, I think. Better than even like The Dark Knight, things like that. This is my opinion. But I like, actually, Batman Begins better than Dark Knight. The Joker was fantastic in Dark Knight, but that's going off on a tangent. Again, fantastic. And then he did the spin-off TV show, Peacemaker. Again, fantastic. So it's extremely exciting that he's going to be the one in charge, approving things, helping shape the DC universe, because his sensibilities, his sense of humor, and the way he perceives things is just fantastic. That's some of the things you can see James Gunn in with, because I do a lot of video game stuff on this channel, obviously. He wrote the game, was it Grasshopper Manufacturer that did the programming for that, I think. But Lollipop Chainsaw, he did that 360 PS3 game, fantastic game. He wrote that one. He did some live action scenes with like Tom Savini and some other famous industry people like that in the terrible Xbox One launch game. What's it called? Loco Cycle. It's supposed to be a terrible game. I never bought it, but he's in some of the live action scenes. Like, they're supposed to be kind of funny. But yeah, I'm super excited. I think James Gunn has unlimited potential. I know there's the cult of Zack Snyder, and they think Zack Snyder is great. They think Zack Snyder can do no wrong, and his Man of Steel and Justice League and Batman vs. Superman were somehow great. They weren't. They're fucking trash. I think Zack Snyder is fantastically talented. I love The Watchmen. I don't really like the ending change that he did in The Watchmen. I guess it would have been too cheesy to make the big fake monster, but I like that better than the Dr. Manhattan's the bad guy, he's going to destroy the world thing. But otherwise, The Watchmen is one of my favorite superhero movies. Absolutely love that movie. Great soundtrack, great performances, great visuals. He also did 300. 300 was fantastic. He did the Dawn of the Dead remake, which is my favorite old zombie movies, the original Dawn of the Dead where they're trapped in the mall. But he did the remake, which I think was written by James Gunn. Small world, everything's coming together again. But so I'm sure there's some people that want Zack Snyder to be in charge and trusted his vision. I think his vision was garbage. I don't think he's really a very visionary guy. I think he's good with adapting work. Like if there's a body of work, he can adapt it and make it cool. Given too much control, look at his crap he did on Netflix so far and stuff like that. I don't think Zack, this is me, I know I'm going to get hate comments for this, but Zack Snyder's not that great. So I think James Gunn is a much more exciting person to put in charge. I just think that's going to be fantastic and really neat. I'm looking forward to seeing what he can do and where the DCU goes. MCU, DCU. It's exciting times. So thanks for watching. And remember, your Kung Fu, try and keep it evil!
I hate to see you go, but I love to watch you leave.
Fuck this shit, I'm out. Fuck this shit, I'm out. No thanks. Don't mind me. I'ma just grab my stuff and leave. Excuse me, please. Fuck this shit, I'm out. Fuck this shit, I'm out.